Hello! Welcome back to another Saturday stream on Tech Ambrosia Live. How's everybody been this week? I hope it's been a fairly stress-free week for most folks. Fingers crossed. It's been, well, it's not been the greatest week, I'll be honest, this week. Hopefully that will improve. Anyway, let's see how chat is. Check in. We've got Dave from Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Hello, Dave. Welcome back. We have Clarjon1. Hello. Welcome back to the stream. And Trina from Trina's Technobabble. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Hello. Welcome to the stream. So I know last week I said I was going to probably do my PowerMac G3 recasing project on this stream. I think I'm actually going to do it tomorrow morning on Dave's stream. Because it's going to be a long and involved process. It's going to take me a few hours to do, I think. And I don't know if it'd be that interesting to watch on a Saturday stream. I guess we'll see. Alright, so what we're looking at today... Hello. What we are looking at today is, if you recognize this sitting over here next to me, this is the Cheap PC Challenge 2022 machine. If you remember, back in December I launched that video as my entry for the 2022 challenge, and it was basically running VR on a $50 Office PC. And this is it. This is the $50 Office PC. I've had it and I've kept it. I've been meaning to do this video since December. It's taken me a little while to accumulate parts for the video, but mostly I just wanted to upgrade the thing, make it a little better, see what upgrades make the most sense in it, and that includes a slew of small form factor graphics cards. Because the thing you can't really tell by looking at this on this camera is that this thing is small. That is small. It is about the width of an SSD, so it is not big. It's not a big machine. And that's the primary challenge with it, is if you want to upgrade the graphics card, you gotta get a small form factor card. Now the thing is, in December I didn't have any small form factor cards over the year. I've collected a few, and I'm going to try them in this machine and see which ones make the most sense. But I think the first thing I'm going to do is actually replace the boot disk with an SSD, because this poor pathetic thing still includes a spinning disk. And booting Windows 10 off of a spinning disk is awful. It is downright painful. It takes so long to boot this thing. We'll boot it up once with this drive in here so you can see it, because it's not great. Actually, let me check and see if we will be doing that today. See if my capture card is behaving. It is! My capture card is behaving. Okay, so yeah, we're going to try and boot this thing with just the spinning disk installed, just so you can see how slow it is. It's not great. It's pretty pokey. So let's get that camera up there. There we go. And I just need to throw power in here. I've got a video and keyboard mouse hooked up. I just need to throw power in. We can fire this thing up and see how bad it is. And power I've got right here. Just have to try and not knock down all the other stuff I have sitting around. The lab has grown a lot. I'm at the point now where I really, really need to start cleaning stuff out. So a few folks are getting things from me. I don't think any of them are on the stream at the moment, but I'm going to be getting rid of some of my stuff. Because I just have too much of it. Just have way too much of it. Especially for a one-bedroom apartment. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so I'm going to start this thing up, and then I'll say some more hellos to chat, because it's going to take a while, honestly, to start this thing. Where did they hide the power button? Where did they hide the power button on this? Oh, there it is. Ta-da! There we go. Alright, so hello chat. We've got a few more folks in here. Who have we got? Hello, Whatsack. Hello, how are you? Hope you had a good week. Mine was okay. It's definitely been better. But we are upgrading an office PC today. Partially because I've been meaning to do this video, and my live streams have been a really good way for me to just, like, do the thing. Just get the video done, or at least, like, get some of it done. I can at least show you, like, behind the scenes of, like, how I test things on the live stream. Things like that. But also partially because the live stream I had planned for today was the building the case for the Power Mac G3 recasing project. I think it's just going to be real boring if everybody's just sitting here staring at me, watching me in Tinkercad. I will be doing it live tomorrow morning on Dave's stream, assuming that I don't, like, get sick or something, because Sundays are usually my day to catch something that's going around. Fingers crossed. Jack68K, hello, welcome to the stream. You are witnessing a $50 Office PC boot off of a spinning disk into Windows 10. That is that giant black void right there. That's the PC. There it goes. HC, hello. Welcome to the stream. Hope you've had a good week. Oh no. Well, I hope you feel better soon. I'm sorry to hear that you're getting sick. I understand. I get sick, like, every weekend. It's annoying. It's, like, my only free time and I get sick on it. So I hope you feel better soon. Join-us is how much do I need to pay to become a mod. You know, I should probably start a Patreon, honestly. I just don't think I'm interesting enough for it. But, you seem like you're okay. You've been around for a while. You seem fine. Here, let me just... There you go. You have the blue text in the wrench. Congratulations. I figured I've guessed on your podcast or on your live stream enough times that I could probably quid pro quo you there. All right, so yeah, this is as this machine was in December, and yes, it is still booting. It is still booting. A new hand touches the beacon, wrench. So yeah, this thing is it is untouched since December. You can see by my I have my results text file on the desktop. I've got VR chat installed. It's the only thing that's installed on this machine. I've got an extra SSD here on a USB thingy. This has got some games on it for Steam, so we can do some gaming tests on this without having to sit and wait for Steam to download stuff. What else? Well, let's see, because I have all the old benchmark stuff on here. So, like, I have Sanctuary. That's what I did I benchmarked it and I found out that the WX2100, the smallest one, the slowest one, was like 3 times faster than the built-in Intel integrated graphics. What resolution is this running at? This has to be running at like 4K or something. What are you doing? Windows, why? It is! It's running at 4K 300% scale. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Idiot operating system. Oh, that you can't actually read. There we go. Unbelievable. Yes, no Steam. There is no connection to the Steam network because I haven't plugged you into a network yet. That's mostly readable. Let's see what this does. What did I do for the 2022 challenge? I said 1080p defaults. Let's see if it actually does the thing. Maybe. I got a plugged in device sound. I didn't plug anything into it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, no, it's doing the thing. Oh, you can't see the FPS display in the upper right corner. That is 10. It's doing 10 FPS. A whopping 10 FPS. So this is the built-in graphics. This is... So the whole reason that I picked this machine up over, like... Because if you've gone shopping for refurbished Office PCs on eBay, you know that most of them are like Sandy Bridge or Ivy Bridge era. They're like 2nd or 3rd gen Intel. And honestly, in my opinion, that's not fast enough anymore these days for pretty much anything. Like, the web's gotten too bloated for you to use it as an everyday machine. None of them are really going to be able to play YouTube videos well. Like, maybe you could play them back in 720p, but you know, they're basically just going to be a pain in the butt. So the reason I got this one is that this one is running a Skylake i5, which I know Skylake, original Skylake 6th gen, wasn't like super well received. It was, you know, it was the first, well, not the first, but it was the first, you know, new architecture on 14 nanometer, Broadwell being the first 14 nanometer from Intel, because, you know, 14 nanometer was, again, like a huge kerfuffle over at Intel to try and get that shrink to actually work. You know, if you remember, we didn't really get a desktop Broadwell release on 14 nanometer because it didn't work out correctly. They couldn't scale the clock speeds the way they wanted to for desktop. So we got Haswell Refresh. Sounds familiar if you remember the 10 nanometer debacle, where we got 11th gen, which was 10th gen mobile backported to 14 nanometer or whatever. But yeah, Intel's had trouble getting their node shrinks to work multiple times. And it looks like we're going to get another refresh with 14th gen because they're having trouble scaling down to whatever the new thing is that they're calling their next node shrink. Like, because they renamed their 10 nanometer to Intel 7. I don't remember what they renamed their 7 nanometer shrink to. If that's going to be like 6A or something, I don't know. Don't remember what they were going to call it, but apparently it's also running into problems. Anyway, so this was the first architecture designed for 14 nanometer, and basically everything on 14 nanometer was just like an improvement of Skylake. So you had Skylake and KB Lake and Coffee Lake and what was it? Coffee Lake Refresh was 9th gen, Cascade Lake, and then Rocket Lake, and they were all kind of the same. Like, they got some more cache and they got higher boost clocks, and that was about it. The architecture largely stayed the same. So I picked this up because it's DDR4, and it's not terribly impressive, but it is at least a somewhat modern platform. And it turned out to work fairly well for what I wanted to do with it, which was, you know, run VR on an Office PC. And this was literally $50 shipped to my door off of eBay, which was pretty cool. Yeah, it was not bad. Like I've said in previous videos, like the one way, like the number one cheapest way to go from nothing at all to a PC, you know, a functional PC, is to buy a refurbished Office PC, either off of eBay or like from a local recycler or from like a university surplus. It's the easiest and fastest and cheapest way to go from literally nothing to a PC. Like, you can't go to like Walgreens and buy a cheap, you know, Polaroid tablet or whatever the heck, you know, whatever brand is like rebadging Chinese tablets these days for $50, you know. And if you can, it's gonna work for like what, a week and then die? Anyway. Also, it gets it gets used parts off of the, out of land. It keeps used parts out of the landfill, helps reduce the amount of e-waste in the world, which is always a good thing. So, anyway, this thing is pathetic with its built-in graphics. I forget even what this has. UHD something? I don't even know. I wonder if I have CPU or GPU Z on here. Quit. So believe it or not, the pathetic little WX2100, the 2GB graphics card that I reviewed in my $100 graphics video a couple of weeks back, 3 times faster than the built-in graphics in this thing. If you don't remember what the world was like before AMD brought us, APUs with tiny Radeons on their CPU chips, it was bad. The world of built-in graphics was quite bad. Do I have GPU Z on here? That would be cool, but I don't think I do. Downloads? I don't have GPU Z on here. You'd think I'd put it in here. Let's see if Task Manager shows what the built-in graphics are. Intel HD graphics. Ooh, 530. UHD 530. Ooh. Yikes. Be still my beating heart. So this thing is, it was not bad. I haven't touched anything inside this thing. I haven't put any more RAM in this, so like it came with 8 gigs of... Oh, it's DDR3! Really? That's weird. No, yeah, it's an i5 6600. It should be DDR4, right? I wonder if Task Manager is just having a moment. Let me plug in network and we'll grab CPU-Z and see what CPU-Z says. Because that seems strange. Like it's not impossible. I have right here a Broadwell E chip that has a DDR3 memory controller on it. It's specifically for LJ 2011-3 motherboards that are DDR3. Like, it's not impossible that Intel made a DDR3 Skylake for OEMs, but I highly doubt it. It seems like it'd be much more expensive than it'd be worth. Because, like, what is the OEM gonna buy your i5 6600s for with your special DDR3? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. So, I'll grab, this is extremely dignified. There we go. I need a better place to keep this. You'd think, with all my 3D printing stuff, that I'd like design a little thingy that would just hold on to this when I'm not using it and just keep it in a nice convenient place, but that would require me to have, presence of mind. Alright. You'll get to see the back of my head. Okay. Plug it in the network. There we go. Network is in. Okay, immediate spike in CPU usage as network connects. Microsoft's got a phone home. Oh yeah, look at that. So, I'm planning on rebuilding my primary machine, and I'm thinking very hard about making it a dual booting Linux and Windows. In fact, I've picked up a pair of NVMEs because the board that I'm using has 2 NVMe slots. I'm currently only using one of them as a scratch disk. I'm booting off of SATA SSD. I'm thinking one of these is going to get, they're both 2 terabyte SSDs, one of them is going to get split in half, and I'm going to have 1 terabyte for Linux and 1 terabyte for Windows. 'Cause I'm really sick of Windows. Really sick of Windows. What I'd love to do what I'd love to do, but it's just not quite there yet, is I'd love to dual boot Windows and Haiku. Can you imagine that? Dual booting Haiku, running Haiku on a 5800 X3D. It would be so fast. It would be so fast. Look at all the CPU usage once I plugged in the network. Jeez. Thanks, Windows. I'm sure it's doing updates or something horrible. Yikes. So, hardware that we're going to check out today. We're already 20 minutes into the stream, so I should get on it. I've got the RX 6400, small form factor. I have a pair of small form factor Quadro P series, so these are Pascal. I've got a P1000 and a P600. We'll try those out. And then, of course, I've got the Radeons Pro from the $100 GPU video. This is the 2100 and the 4100. So those are both Polaris, with all of the caveats that come with Polaris. And oh yeah, because if you notice, we've got over here an X16 PCI Express slot, and next to that is not an X1 slot like I thought it was going to be. That is X4. You know what that means? If I can not drop it. NVMe carrier card. Oh yeah, let's see if this makes any difference at all to the storage speed, or if Skylake is just too slow to use it. We shall see. Part of the reason for doing this is like I'm curious. I just want to see like how far you can take a $50 PC. Part of it is I'm finally starting on cheap Ryzen, and one of the things that this obviously, building a cheap AM4 system obviously competes with is buying a $50 office PC, right, or a $100 workstation, because those things are wild. You can get a lot of PC for like $80, if you buy like an old HP workstation. Sometimes you can get a good PC, like an unequivocally like good PC, something that you can actually like put a faster processor in, you can load up with RAM, and you can put in a modern graphics card, and like it's actually a reasonable machine. So like, how do those compete with like building your own cheap AM4 system, So this is part of that. This is going to be part of that that video and that exploration. So let's see. Haven't checked in with chat in a while. Garth Beagle, hello, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back. I am going to do, I know I said last week I was going to do the Beige G3 recasing project today. I'm going to do that tomorrow morning on Dave's stream, because I think it's going to take a while, honestly. Like, I've got all my stuff back, my calipers are working and everything, but I think it's going to take a while. It's going to take more than like an hour and a half, so... And it's going to be like an hour and a half of me staring at Tinkercad, which I don't know if anybody wants to see that. But yes, it's going to happen. You're going to get your Beige G3 recase. It's going to happen. Watsak says, I am basing my 2023 challenge fast build on a $60 shipped Haswell Office PC. Nice. Yeah, Haswell is a pretty robust architecture. It's still pretty good these days if you're doing anything that's not like literally like VR chat. I have several friends who are nursing along like 4790K systems that are VR chat's really struggling at this point. Like just the amount of stuff that's in that game and the amount of things that people have built for it are just kind of out of hand. And DDR3 just can't handle it anymore. Blake DMC says, oh lord, Skylake is a platform most people tried to convince me to invest in, and didn't due to DDR4. at the time being expensive, and DDR3 with Haswell was a better upgrade. Yes. And honestly, like, that's kind of the basis of my my upcoming home lab video, because like a lot of people are looking at X99 and saying that's not a bad platform now for the money. The problem with X99 is that you have to get DDR4, and DDR4, while it's a lot cheaper nowadays, like, you can pick up like server grade DDR3 for like 64 gigs for $40. That's real hard to say no to in a home server. Real hard to say no to. And that is the entire reason that I have one of the few Broadwell E chips that do DDR3. I also picked up a cheap Chinese board that does DDR3 on LGA 2011-3. So yeah, it's going to be a fun video. It's going to be a fun video. But yeah, there are still places and there are still situations where DDR3 is still cheaper and more cost effective than DDR4. I don't think it's, in my opinion anyway, I don't think that place is on the client side. Like, if you're doing gaming or you're doing VR or whatever, I think it's time to jump ship from DDR3 and get on DDR4, because it just is that much faster. Like, your whole platform speeds up once you get onto DDR4. But for like home server, home lab stuff, you know, like, I run Home Assistant. Like, most people put Home Assistant on like a Raspberry Pi, right? And for the longest time now, Raspberry Pis have been ridiculously expensive. I just run Home Assistant in a virtual machine on an X79 machine, you know, that I have in my home lab. That's it. It takes like no space. It runs nice and fast, and I can just do USB pass-through for my. I've got a Zigbee dongle for like the little temperature sensors I have all over my apartment to see like what the interior and exterior temperatures are, and just use USB pass-through in Proxmox to get the USB temperature sensor, or the Zigbee radio through into Home Lab, a Home Assistant on my home lab. But yeah, I think there's a place for DDR3 still, and I think that place is in the home lab. But yeah, hopefully this thing is not DDR3. I'd be very surprised. Anyway, it looks like it is still doing like Windows updates and stuff. Hopefully I can get a browser open here without too much begging. Edge closed while you had some pages open. I don't know. I haven't used this machine since December. Heck if I know, Microsoft. Okay, so let's get some stuff out of my way here. My guess with the NVMe is that we won't be able to boot from it. That's my guess. But it should make for a very rapid storage drive. Very rapid. So let's see. I don't think in the long term it's gonna live with this machine. I'll probably end up putting a 1 terabyte SATA SSD in this, and then, you know, before I give it away, because its destiny is to be given away. Let's see. Probably not going to give it away with the RX 6400 just because it's such a meme of a graphics card. I want to punish it later down the road. I want GPU-Z. Come on, download. What do we have? Yep. Blake DMC says, and now I game on a Ryzen 7 5800X3D. As do I, and I love it. It is awesome. By the way, I have a video coming out tomorrow morning at like 2 in the morning. I usually schedule my stuff to go out late at night because it performs better. But I'll be looking at the 5800, or the 5600, if this thing will focus. Come on, you can do it. Camera. Well, I guess you have to trust me. The 5600X3D, which I managed to get my hands on, thanks to a very generous coworker who was willing to go to Micro Center and mail me the stuff, which was awesome. Spoiler, the 5600X3D is also excellent and very fast. Download. $47.90, like DMZ says, my $47.90K is going to be my future Stepmania PC. In the future, as I don't want to do it on my main gaming rig. That's fair. I don't know why. I have no idea what's involved in running Stepmania, which is, as Blake DMC mentions, is a Dance Dance Revolution clone. I imagine it would just be punishing on, you know, whatever controller you're using to play it on, versus like the rest of the PC hardware. I hope. It's when you get a big yellow bar across the whole thing, that's when you have to kick the PC. That's what makes it really difficult. It's true, honestly. Like if AMD would extend driver support for this card particularly, back to older operating systems, especially like you said XP, it'd be a brilliant drop-in card. Like you could instantly destroy every single card that runs on XP with this little pathetic machine. And honestly, like 4 gigs of VRAM and 4 PCI Express lanes, it's never going to run out of VRAM or bandwidth. It's not going to matter. It really is not going to matter. Then I want to get to CPU-Z and check the RAM on this thing. Going slow because I'm chatting. It's okay. It's my favorite part, honestly. I like talking with y'all. I really appreciate y'all showing up every week. It's nice. As far as my Cheap PC Challenge 2023 PC, I have not made any further progress since trying to get those 2 different Android emulators running on Windows 11, which is unfortunate, but I think I might have a solution. Apparently Google has released their own, like, Android emulator for Windows 11, so I'm going to give that a try. See what that does. Alright, CPU-Z. What do we got? What is this poor thing running? Oh, checking for updates. I was trying to run this the other day and it's just like, it takes the longest when it gets to the phoning home part. I'm so sick. I'm so sick of everything having to phone home. Set a timeout in your app of like 2 seconds, and if it doesn't connect, you get an error. Okay, so what do we got here? For memory, DRAM frequency of 800 megahertz. It does say it's DDR3. Really? Q170, DDR3. That's really weird. I thought for sure this thing would be a DDR4. Well, that is wild. Huh. Alright, well, that's interesting. I think we should start with the GPU upgrades for this thing, and while I'm at it, I'm gonna pop this cover off, take a look at that RAM, see if it really is DDR3. That is wild. Oh, it's DDR3L. Okay, is this like soldered onto the board? Am I totally screwed? No, it's got slots. Supposedly. This should be interesting. I can't wait to see what's inside this thing. This is very strange. Alright. Shut her down. Garth says, someone switched the RAM, sus. Here we go. There you go, just for Garth. If you haven't seen Garth's sus parrot, that is the embodiment of this machine. Alright, so let's get y'all over to the desk. Ta-da! Okay. Alright. So... we've got normal optical drive, and that comes out somewhere, I'm not sure. That slides there. Okay, that's unlocked. And... aha. It's the little blue tabs are the clue. Slide this part around to like get access to things. Well, the question is, there we go. What part slides where? I'll just remove this whole... yes, I can. That's what I want. I just want to remove this whole thing. Okay. Pop that off of there. Got an extra LED or something? What are you? Oh, power. Power plugged into the motherboard, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Oh, OEM computers. Okay, so let's look at this RAM. Oh yeah, no, that's definitely DDR3. What the heck? Look at that! Look at that! That's definitely DDR3. Here's let me grab this. Get it without dropping it on me. And there's DDR4 to compare. Look at that! Yeah, that's totally a DDR3 Skylake. What the heck? That's cheating, Dell. That's cheating. You dang cheaters. Alright, well, it did fine with VR chat, so apparently DDR3 is okay. I mean, I say it did fine. It ran at, like, literally minimum resolution. Like 30 FPS. Let's get this plugged back in here. This is origami. There we go. Okay, so you go back in there. Then you lock back in that way. This goes back in here. Ta-da! Okay. So, do we want to do the 2100? Because we have seen, if you've watched the Cheap PC Challenge video, you know how this performs, which is not great. We just want to skip it and go right to the 4100. We are 40 minutes into the stream. I think, yeah, let's skip it and start with the 4100. So the 4100 is fun, because this is, on paper, basically double the performance. At least, like, you know, it's double the shader cores, it's the same clock speeds, double the texture mapping units and render outputs. Should be twice as fast, right? Now I have a full-size bracket on this, but I've got a dead one of these on my shelf of shame with the half-height bracket, so if I do end up shipping this one out, I can put the right bracket in it. So, ta-da! And that power button is there. There we go. It's weird with the front panel off, trying to find the power button. Okay, so let's get you all back over to the display. Sounds like the graphics card has power. Just heard the fan spin up. There we go. Oh shoot, I'm still plugged into the... I'm an idiot. I'm still plugged into the built-in graphics. This is 4 mini DisplayPorts, so I'm going to need a mini DisplayPort to HDMI, which I have. Woo, that was close. I have a few of these. Most of them are terrible. This one's a full size. Ah, this is my trick. So this is my trick with this. Because most of those mini DisplayPort, for whatever reason, the mini DisplayPort to HDMI will give you like HDMI 1.4, and then the full size DisplayPort to HDMI, like this one, will give you HDMI 2.0. And for whatever reason, you can just use a mini DisplayPort to DisplayPort, and it works exactly the same. I don't know why all the mini DisplayPort plugs are so bad. They're all just awful. Hey, Gutbomb, hello, welcome to the stream. You've joined a computer crime currently in progress. Alright, let me get this plugged in here, not get my hair wrapped in the computer's fan. That'd be good. Let's see, what's going on, like that, maybe? Can't see the ports, because of course not, why would I be able to see the ports? Doesn't seem to go in that way. Where's my phone? Need my phone? Oh, it's on my charger, that's right. When in doubt, makeup mirror. What the heck direction is this mini DisplayPort? Add it to the list of plugs that I hate because they're way too symmetrical. They look really cool. Congratulations to the committee that designed these. They look amazing. They're incredibly hard to use because they're almost symmetrical. There we go. Shout outs to the makeup mirror. Let's get the video plugged in there. Does it realize what's happened yet? Probably not. Might need to reboot it with video actually plugged in. Let's see, what is chat saying? Yeah, right? What is this form factor? It's a fairly standard Dell small form factor. Like, it's not their like super ultra slim lines, it's their small form factor. They've had these for a while. I think they first started making them with the Pentium 4 socket 775, I think. They've had them around for forever. But yeah, it's I didn't know DDR3 Skylake existed either. This is a surprise to me. The whole reason I got this thing was because it was Skylake. I'm like, oh, it's Skylake. That means it's going to be DDR4, right? Apparently not. And we're not getting a monitor recognized, so move this to a different plug and see if it likes that better. Trying to plug this in without seeing it is the worst. Again, to everyone who's designed ports on modern PCs, I wish you a very pleasant die in a fire. The hard drive activity light is going full on, so I imagine it's having a field day right now. I should have done the SSD upgrade first. this is just awful. Get Bomb says it's always fun to just put a hole in the side and the lid, and instead of using the proper bracket. Well, like I can just throw like one of these single slot, full height cards in there and just shave out a nice slot at the top of the case for it. It'll be fine. Okay, I'm going to try and get it to turn off. I'll start it back up. Hopefully it'll figure out that it has external monitor connected. Oh, OEM PCs. There we go. Okay, so we got it turned off. I'll restart it. Do we get a signal? No, it really does not like this external display. Yeah, no, WattSec says the shuffle of features and CPUs in office context is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I knew I knew Intel did this for, for cloud customers, but I didn't think they'd do it for like desktop PCs. It seems weird that, but I guess, I mean, the whole reason nobody went to DDR4 back when Skylake launched was because it was really expensive, and I guess it wasn't really any cheaper for the OEMs either. Wasn't that like the start of like a big price gouging thing too? Like a couple of years later, weren't the memory manufacturers like found out for collusion on prices for DDR4? I think I remember that, right? Alright, so this is not showing video. I'm sure it's just installing drivers, but I'm gonna speed it along a little by not letting that fall down there. Let's get that plugged in. There we go. Okay, that is the internal HDMI. That works. So, is this doing the thing again? Why is this 30 FPS? Oh, I bet this thing is still sending the panel resolution of 4K. But it's UHD 530, so it can't handle 4K at 60 FPS over HDMI. Windows, 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 Windows. Okay, so let's grab... I wonder... I bet I still have those Radeon drivers on here. Oh, she's slow. She pokey. I should have done the SSD upgrade first. I really should have. Oh. Yeah, that's the, yep, that's the hard drive going 100%. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so if I get... Oh, of course. I'm like, why is the driver on here so old? Right, 2211. That would be exactly when I install drivers on this. Haven't touched it since December. I'm smart. I've been doing so much testing with these stupid cards using the 23.5.3 driver. I'm just like, why is it not 23.5.3? Oh, right. I haven't touched it in 6 months. More than 6 months. Oh. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. It's that was when all the memory manufacturers, like, there's this big hubbub. There's a big hubbub about DDR4, how expensive it was to manufacture. And, like, the prices just went high, and they just stayed high for a long time. Gutbomb says, I had a bulldozer-based PC in 2016 with 2 SSDs in RAID 0. It went exactly how you think it went. Were those SandForce SSDs? Did one of those SSDs just disappear off your SATA bus one day? SSDs in 2016 were not a fun time. Oh my gosh, can everything just stop trying to start? Please? Just stop. Just please, just stop trying to load all your bullshit. Pretty please. Okay, let's see, AMD drivers, download. This keyboard. So this keyboard. This is it came with it was a wireless keyboard mouse combo. It's like, I don't know, 10, 15 bucks on Amazon, maybe $20. Worst keyboard I've ever used in my life. This thing is awful. Like, not only is it mushy, like each key is like super mushy, but if you hit any of these keys off center, they don't want to press. It's the worst. So like, and that includes like, you know, normally stabilized keys, like the enter key. So you hit the enter key off center, and it's like, nope, I'm not pressing. Unbelievable. Of course there's a video called JJJJJJJJ. Worst keyboard. Worst keyboard I've ever used. Exactly, Clarjon. It's time to stop. It's time to stop, okay? Oh, let's see. Let's get... I'm just gonna get, like, normal... Like, I'm gonna say I have an RX 6000 series, because I do have a 6650 sitting over there. 6650... Because that driver should work just fine with Radeon Pros. The nice part is that they are still supported by modern drivers. So Win 10, and we'll get the Adrenaline. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Gutbomb said when one SSD bit it, the next one went soon after. Yeah. Yep. Gutbomb says, I think it's because of the heat in the case was too high, so Bulldozer did it. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Bulldozer, right? Like, these were, and it's... So AMD was fabbing on GloFo like 32 nanometer, and they'd been on these processes for a while. You know, this was the latest GlobalFoundries process. And the problem with GlobalFoundries process is I think it was that they used a low temperature, like, tin solder or something, or an indium solder or something. So like the T case on the CPU, like the maximum thermal temperature that the CPU could get to before it would like desolder itself was like 80 degrees Celsius. So like the CPU would enforce like a 72 degrees Celsius like maximum temperature. So the worst part about Bulldozer is that you have a 140 watt CPU that can only get to 70 Celsius before it starts to cook itself. And so you got to find a way to cool that. So you're looking at like, air coolers that can cool down like 250 watts worth of energy just to try and keep this CPU under like 65 Celsius so it doesn't bake itself. Bulldozer was terrible. Bulldozer was such a bad CPU architecture. I don't know how, I really don't know how AMD's engineers, went through the entire design process for Bulldozer, and they're like, this is good. This is our best effort. This is the best CPU we can make. We've been making killer 4 and 6 core CPUs for a while now. We know we just need to like slightly improve the IPC and get our clocks up, and we will be competitive. And like, nope, we're gonna clean slate everything and make a completely new design, and it's gonna be terrible. Ah. I do not understand how they let Bulldozer exist. Just does not. How do you go and you look at what, like, you're AMD, right? Like, you kicked Intel's ass for the entire Pentium 4 period, right? Like, Intel chased clock speeds. They took their processor pipeline and they pulled it out to like 30 stages. Just ridiculous. Just hugely expensive on pipeline flushes and branches. And paid the price for it, to chase clock speed, and failed at it. And how do you, as the company that made like, processors that ran at half the speed of your competitor and were just as fast, how do you look at that and say, that's what we should do? Let's pull our pipeline out to like 25 stages and let's chase 6 gigahertz clock speeds. That's going to be the solution. How do you even get there? Like, what's the mental process to get to that stage? How does that happen? Ah. Welcome to the stream, CRTified. Glad to have you back. I mean, it's true. K8 and K10 were essentially the same performance. No AMD graphics hardware has been detected in your system. Well, that's interesting. Given that it's sitting right there. Fun. I wonder if I do have to install the Radeon Pro drivers. Annoying. Annoying. Professional graphics, Radeon Pro. WX100 series. I imagine it's going to give me basically the same driver. Almost. Well, yeah, no, 23.8.1. Is that the one I just downloaded? Yeah, 23.8.1. Well then, something's going on with that PCI Express slot, I guess. Couldn't possibly be because I have the wrong bracket in there. It's annoying. I don't know if it's actually the drivers, because everybody likes to rag on AMD drivers, but like they're not that bad these days. I think honestly it's because this card isn't fully seated in that slot, because I've got a full-size bracket on it. and it's a half-height slot. So, I mean, I can just bend the case. Who cares? It's an Office PC. It's done downloading. Oh, it's got to scan it for viruses. There's only one virus, Windows, and that's you. Come on. Well done, Clarachan says. They just helped someone update their BIOS remotely. So that's like an actual improvement in like PC hardware that I really like. Is like when you've got motherboards that can update their BIOS without even having a CPU installed. I'm like, yes, finally. Let's get those awesome little microcontrollers like actually doing some work. Update that BIOS with no CPU. I'm gonna turn this thing off real quick and see. The Windows, the start menu popped up like halfway up the screen. This machine is having a day. Wow. Turn off. You can do it. Good lord, this thing is slow. There we go. Okay. Because... no, I think it is actually in there. Okay. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm gonna check the BIOS real quick and make sure that there isn't like a disable PCI graphics thing in the BIOS or something. Wait, that is not in there. Hang on. Hang on. Yeah, that's totally not in there. What is your deal? That should be in there. I think so. Let's hop into the BIOS. Doing the delete F1, F2 tango. There we go. Preparing to enter setup. You're always preparing, just go! Let's see, video. Oh, this is terrible. Video, primary display. Okay. Apply. Exit. It didn't seem like it was quite seated at the very front of the connector, like the important tab, you know, the one right here. This tab didn't seem like it was quite connected correctly in the motherboard, so I'm guessing it actually like didn't actually see the card. Well, look at that. It's not showing graphics on the internal monitor this time. So I think that worked. I plug this in. Or have I just made this thing completely and utterly useless? Nope. Black screen's not no signal. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We have got display. Exactly, exactly. The delete F1, F2 startup dance. That's exactly what that is. Okay, so let's... Well, Polaris still doesn't have, HDMI 2.0, so we still have 30 FPS. But... Okay, I'm gonna close you. Let's get as few things to load up this time as possible. Okay. Task manager, and let's do display settings. What do you see this display adapter as? Graphic settings? No. Okay. I miss all the old control panels. They actually told you information. Yeah, see, it's stuck at 30 hertz. Let's see if it'll do 60 hertz. Hey, there we go. Awesome. That's what I thought. I thought the Radeon was capable of doing 4K 60. Okay, so let's get those drivers installed. Note to self, always do the SSD upgrade first. Good Lord. One hour in, and we've gotten one graphics card in this thing. This is just how computing goes, isn't it? I think I'm going to do the SSD upgrade on the next power cycle, because this is just ridiculous. I had wanted to like snag the Windows key out of this thing, because I haven't actually extracted the Windows key out of this, but I can just plug the spinning disk back into it and get it at any time, so not that big of a deal. Alright, so GPU-Z does see the WX4100. Running driver... Yeah, running the 22.11.2 driver that I installed last December, so that's good. That is a plus. Windows is doing something. Phone link. You can die. Hi, phone link. Bye-bye. Phone link. It's just doing all the normal, like, update, virus scan garbage. Phone link. Think I'm ever gonna link my phone with frickin' Windows. Heck no. Heck no. Alright, so we've got the 4100 in here. The quickest comparison we can make is running Sanctuary again. So we were getting about 10 FPS last time at 1080p. Yeah, 1080p defaults. So we'll run this again. See what we get out of it. So the 2100 got like 33, 34 FPS, I think. I have to go check my notes, which I can do. I just have them in a Google Sheet. You can find them from December. Oh, where is it? It's in my other Google Sheet. Of course it is. Nope. Can't set 1080p video screen mode. Really? What? You're in 1080p right now. What do you mean you can't set 1080p? You stupid game. Unbelievable. I'm gonna set this thing to use a 1080p signal instead of a 4K signal. This is so ridiculous. Okay, anyway, while that is loading, because it's gonna take an age, I want my keyboard. Alright, where are my benchmarks for Cheap PC Challenge? Where are they? Did I not? Oh, you know, I bet I didn't. I bet I didn't bother making a spreadsheet for them because they're just in my video script. Oh, where is my Cheap PC Challenge 2022? So many scripts. It's the roundup video. I'm gonna have to watch that video, aren't I? I'm gonna have to watch the video to get the number. That is ridiculous. Okay. So we've got our Radeon settings. Let's do... There is... display... GPU scaling is disabled, except that it's not. Okay, we doing okay? We're having a moment there. Let's see if that does it. Turn it on explicitly. See if Sanctuary can set the right resolution. What? So weird. Why? Huh. Well, let's set it to not full screen then. Go. Okay, well there you go. We were at 10 FPS before, and we're at 100 FPS now, so it's just a little bit faster. Just a smidge. Okay. This SSD, or this hard drive, is killing me. I'm going to install Windows on the SSD. Let's get this thing booting quickly. Okay. Hello, Sleepy Malibu. How's it going? Hope your week's been okay. We are messing with a $50 Office PC. At the moment, it's still booting off of a spinning hard disk. So I'm about to fix that. I should have done that an hour ago, honestly. But, I'm not smart. So 1 hour of stream has elapsed, and we got one graphics card in there. Hard drives are just too slow. They're just too slow for boot media. Okay, so I'm just unplug this. Just leave the rest of it in. Oh no, don't tell me it's a latching cable. Why, Dell? Really? Really? You jerks. It's not a latching cable. Why is it not coming out of there? Come on. Oh, jeez. It may as well be a latching cable. Unbelievable. Okay. So that needs to go back in that way. Trying to remember what way it went in. Of course, it went with the label up. Aren't brains great? Love having a brain so much. Okay. SSD is in. This should already have Windows 10 on it. Okay, what do you think? What do you think accessing the boot menu is? F8, F12. It's one of those two. It's F8 or F12. It's certainly one of those. That looks great. Hey, look at that. We've got Windows set up. Beautiful. This has got USB 3 on board. It actually boots from it, which is amazing. Absolutely incredible. Lose those. Indeed. Hello, welcome back to the stream. It's good to see you again. So I made the mistake of trying to run this thing on its spinning disk, which means that we've gone an hour and 20 minutes and we've tested all of one graphics card in this thing. So I'm biting the bullet and doing an SSD install of Windows so that the pain the pain is alleviated. Alright. Charlotte Thorne says, I was working on an old AT under-monitor style desktop case earlier. only cut myself once on the cheap big iron case edges. I consider that a win. That absolutely is. Now the thing is, when you cut yourself on a PC, you've made your sacrifice to the computing gods, so that machine will now work perfectly fine. And of course, it has to be a blood sacrifice, because those are the machines that we're dealing with. You know, we find special rocks and we etch arcane patterns into them and then, you know, run electricity through them. It's definitely not magic. It's called chip lithography. SSDs, simplest, cheapest upgrade. Simplest, cheapest upgrade you can do for a PC. I forgot how bad, I constantly forget how bad hard drives were. Having used computers that booted off of hard drives for years, decades, it's like Cathode Ray Dude said with the optical mouse. No one has nostalgia for ball mice. Like, the optical mouse is just so good. Like, it's an upgrade that actually works. Like, SSDs for booting is similar. Like, it's just... Nobody has nostalgia to go back to, like, booting a Windows 7 machine off of a hard drive, you know? Like, I would love, like, some old MFM hard drives for, like, some of my vintage machines, just to, like, have that sound and the experience, right? And, like, the machines are too slow for an SSD to make sense. But, like, anything that's somewhat modern, God. Booting off of a hard drive, booting off a spinning hard drive is just not, it's not a nostalgic experience, it's just painful. Yes, agreed. Clarjon One says booting Windows 95 off a clicky drive, though. Yes, absolutely. And, like, I've been trying to get my hands on some working Quantum Bigfoots, if you remember those drives from back in the day. They were, like, full-size 5¼ inch, you know, hard drives, but they were, like, they're as thin as normal hard drives, so it's like there's just this wild form factor. I really liked them. They were okay. Never the most reliable things in the world, but, like, they sound fantastic. Like, they're not an old hard drive technology by any means, but, like, because they're so big, you know, like, they've got long, you know, they've got, like, long actuation arms. They make real loud clicks. They're quite a nice experience. I really enjoy them. I'm debating, because I have one... So here's the thing. So I've collected 3 so far. Of the 3, I have one that sort of works. It works until you write over 8 gigabytes onto it, and then it stops working. It starts dropping sectors. So, like, the first 8 gigs of the drive is fine, which means that, you know, I could partition it. I could partition it to, like, 8 gigs, and it'd be fine. But, like, okay, we got through this part of setup. That's like me on Monday mornings. Okay, I got through Monday morning. Oh yeah, I did that. I forgot I did that. I made my username. So I set this USB stick up with Rufus, and when you put a sufficiently modern Windows OS on Rufus, Rufus detects it and says, "Hey, do you want to skip all this stupid, you know, setup garbage? Like, asking for all of your data and, like, setting up the telemetry and stuff. Do you just want to skip that and just set up a local user account?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, heck yeah." And I forgot that I set this one up to be a local user called subscribe. So, you know, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up, because that helps the algorithm. And, yeah, that's my call to action for the day. I thought it was cheeky to just kind of, like, sneak that into my... into my setup. Yes, subscribe, subscribe. One Bit, welcome to the stream. One Bit asks, can it run Hercules text mode games? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure Radeon Pro is not backwards compatible with Hercules. I could be wrong though. I mean, who knows? The old Rage 6, graphics controller could be hiding way, way back in there. I mean, so like Intel's integrated graphics, and I don't know if this is true of ARC, probably not, but at least like their iGPUs for a while integrated a whole 486 as like their scheduling processor. Like that was the chip that was responsible for scheduling the integrated graphics. And get away, Edge. And like maybe AMD has embedded an entire, Rage 64 or whatever, not Rage 64. An entire, VGA core in there. Possible, certainly possible. Kick your butt, Edge. Let's see if you ask me a second time. You probably don't. Nope, you don't. Ha ha ha. I gotcha. All the little things to get around Microsoft's bullshit. So let's do getfirefox.com. Go away, get Firefox. Bounced my mouse cursor to the center of the screen. Thank you so much. Come on, let's do this. We've got audio through the internal speaker on this Dell, which is not a normal thing for a PC. That's interesting. It says it's using the Intel HD integrated graphics. But it's I've got the HDMI cable plugged into the Radeon, so that's fun. All right, AMD nope, not ADM. AMD drivers download. It's the worst keyboard. Nope, I guess it can't. Sorry, One Bit. Let's grab both, because we can get both of them from this page. So if we do Radeon Pro WX100 series, this is a 4100. Because this will let us download. The worst part about having long hair is it gets everywhere. This will let us download both the Pro Edition driver, which doesn't really matter, and Adrenaline, which is the gaming driver. So we'll snag those two. I guess I should grab CPU-Z and GPU-Z again. I have to imagine that, like, hardware hackers, when they learned that there was just a full-blown 486 inside Intel integrated graphics, they were probably like, how can I get that? How can I execute arbitrary code on that? Because that would be amazing. And by amazing, I mean terrible. Okay, so there's GPU-Z and CPU-Z. And we should grab Steam here. Well, thank you, Carrie. It's, I have been growing it for a very long time. At this point, I basically don't go to the barbershop or the hair salon. I just, it just grows. The bad part about that is that, like, I've got, like, terrible split ends. Well, I guess they're not so bad. Gotta use special conditioner for it because it's all curly. If I use regular conditioner for it, it just goes completely flat. Okay, so disc 1 removable, that should be the USB. Bingo. So, I've got this here. Try not to whack the fan with it, but this here has games on it that we can test. Let's see. Let's get drivers installed first. This seems to have no interest in doing the driver install automatically, so let's just plug it in there. I'm going to run the gaming driver. That is a good question, One Bit Fever Dreams asks if a text-only adventure game takes up more space than Baldur's Gate 3. Is an average human lifespan long enough to get through it? I would say probably not. Most likely not. A Windows update is currently in progress. Awesome. Since there is no activity on the disk, I'm going to say it's probably queued up for install. Maybe not. What is Windows Update doing? No updates. Okay, I'm going to reboot and we'll see if the driver will install. Unbelievable. Oh, well, congrats. Hopefully it's growing faster now. Hopefully. I have had long hair pretty much my entire life. I cut it once, way back, to like get a job. I don't recommend like cutting your hair to get a job. Just be yourself. That looks bad. What is this thing doing? But that's basically the only time I've ever cut my hair in my life. What is this doing? This is having a bad time. That's what this is doing. I wonder if I just need to use my cheap adapter instead of the, like, fancy one. Let's see if the cheap one works. It is still booting, like, there's still activity LED on here. Oh, let's see. I'm not going to remember what direction this is supposed to go in. I hate DisplayPort so much. I hate it almost as much as I hate HDMI. I think that's actually in the right place. Hey, there we go. Awesome. That is working. Sort of. Windows, what you doing? Activity LED, it's doing something. Windows, 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 Windows! Come on. It runs the screen for like 3 seconds and turns it black. What the hell? Blasted operating system. Okay. Plug back into the internal graphics and see if I can sort out the driver. I'm guessing that's what's going on. So Windows is installing the driver. Of course, it's probably installing some old version of the driver. It's just this requires me to plug in an HDMI cable without seeing the HDMI port, which is my least favorite activity. I think that's it. Are the internal graphics even running? It looks like no. Alright, well, solution to this is turn it off, which yields a plugged-in noise. This operating system. We're going to go straight to the 6400. The driver that I just downloaded will work for this card, and this bracket is correct for this case, so this should plug all the way into the stupid slot. Alright. I know this card is okay, because I benchmarked it 3 weeks ago, or whatever. A month ago, 2 months ago. What is time? Alright. Get your butt in there. Be happy. Yes, now that is in the slot completely. Finally. Alright, so this, of course, being the 6400, has 2 display outputs. We've got one full-size DisplayPort and one full-size HDMI. So, I'm just going to plug the capture card straight into the HDMI, which eliminates Dongletown. Is that the HDMI port? Please be the HDMI port. It is. Awesome. Power. Hey, there we go. Good lord, that took a while. What the heck? I'm gonna have to do some more research, because I didn't, can I actually, pull this i5 6600 out and put it into a DDR4 board? Does Skylake have DDR3 and DDR4, integrated memory controllers on the chip already? This blows my mind. I'm in Starship Troopers, I want to know more. Okay. News and interests. Die. Meet now. Die. Okay. Microsoft Store. Delete. email app, delete, there we go. Okay, so let's get the drivers installed. Before let's first double check that this isn't doing something silly. Surprisingly, it appears it's not. Not a lot of activity going on, so run the driver. One bit says, I asked Bing, and it napkin calculated that it would take 59 lifetimes to run through a text adventure that takes up the same size on disk as Baldur's Gate 3. That sounds about right. Sounds about right. Alright, driver only. Don't collect information. I love how you have to opt out of data collection for your graphics card driver nowadays. It's great. I love the world we built for ourselves. It's so good. Hello, Pixel Pipes. Nathan, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. You have joined a computer crime currently in progress. So I tried installing the... I found an interesting quirk. So I tried putting in the WX4100 because I think that's probably like the best match for this machine and its performance level. But turns out, even if you've got a low profile card, this bracket, unless you've got a low profile bracket, it doesn't fit in the slot quite correctly. It has a bad time. It has a real bad time if it doesn't fit in the slot correctly. I got some snow on this display that I have not seen in a long time. So we're running the RX 6400 at the moment because that has a half-height bracket on it still. I just had never changed the bracket out to a full-height bracket. And the two cards I'll be comparing it with, I mean it's going to be kind of an unfair fight I think, are the Quadros P1000 and P600. So, little tiny Pascal cards, which are adorable and probably aren't going to perform terribly well. I think one of them has like 256 shaders on it. It's ridiculous. Alright, so that's driver. We'll reboot, let it do its thing. Yeah, so we're in the stream for an hour and 45 minutes now, and we have tested 2 graphics cards. We're about to test number 3. WX2100, we skipped, nope, sorry. Well, we did the internal graphics, where we got like 10 frames per second in Sanctuary. WX4100 booted, ran for a little bit, tried to install drivers, and garbled the screen, so that was unsuccessful. We're doing the RX 6400 now. Probably the biggest revelation, though, is that we've discovered that this desktop, this random Dell, you know, small form factor desktop, is Skylake with DDR3. Okay, let me run CPU-Z here real quick, and you can see this is this astonishing information. Yeah, no. I'm not expecting miracles out of the tiny Quadros, but it might be interesting. I'm very annoyed that these full height cards won't work. I might make some modifications to the case to get them to work like later off screen. But yeah, so we've got i5 6600 Skylake, 4 cores, 4 threads. Running at the blistering, you know, up to 3.9 gigahertz. But if we go to memory, we are running DDR3 1600. And you can see that these are DDR3L sticks. We've got 2 of the slots filled, total of 8 gigs. My mind is blown. I did not know that there was a Skylake with DDR3. The only thing I can think of, because like this just says i5 6600, like it's not an i5 6600E or L or whatever or anything like special. I wonder if Skylake has both IMCs, if it's got a DDR3 and a DDR4 IMC in it. Like if Intel learned from Broadwell E, where a bunch of OEMs ordered DDR3 versions of those chips, like, and they just like, because DDR4 was so expensive back then, I wonder if they just did it. They just threw both IMCs onto the chip. No, Skylake was supposed to be the first desktop DDR4 system. I think Haswell was actually supposed to be the first desktop DDR4 system, but DDR4 was just way, way, way too, too immature or too nascent at the time. Because Haswell EP, is DDR4. And actually, yeah, I lied. The chip that I've got is not a Broadwell E, it's a Haswell E with DDR3 in it, which is unusual because Haswell E socket 2011-3 is a DDR4 platform, generally speaking. And I think Haswell on the desktop was supposed to go DDR4, but it was just too expensive, so they delayed it until Skylake, and I think it was still so expensive that they maybe put both memory controllers into the chip. It's wild. I didn't think there were any DDR3 Skylake chips at all, but here we are. DDR3 Skylake. I have no idea. So anyway, this is a fresh Windows install. I finally gave up on the spinning disk. It was just so slow. But that means that we've got to get Steam installed on here. I've got an SSD, USB 3 connected SSD here with some games on it. We're going to run and we're going to see how they run on this. Let's see if things are good. So, Steam powered. Install Steam. Ryzen 9 3900 XT says, I got 64 gigs cheap. Yeah, but how cheap? I mean, DDR4 right now, because DDR5 is launched on both, modern platforms, DDR4 is the cheap RAM right now, but like, back when DDR4 launched, it was just as expensive as DDR5. I think more expensive. I've been kind of shocked by how quickly DDR5 has fallen in price. Because I'm totally used to like how long DDR4 was expensive, because it was expensive for a really, really long time. And as Gutbomb and I talked about earlier in the stream, I think that was when the memory manufacturers were prosecuted for collusion, because they were keeping prices artificially high. Whoopsies! I don't think the fines wiped out their additional profits from the collusion, so like, it's not like they're not going to do it again. They just need to wait long enough for everybody to forget, and they'll do it again. I'm sure. Oh, nice. 80 bucks on eBay. Is that DDR4? 64 gigs? Or is that... Because I know you can get DDR3, like server DDR3 on eBay for like ridiculously little amounts of money. Yep. Have a good one, Clarjon. It's good to see you. I will join you at some point. I am curious to see how these Pascal GPUs run. So we'll just run a couple of games on here, I think. I don't want this stream to run super long. Because Trina is streaming right now, and I don't want to cut into her stream too long. Let's do... Where's my... Oh, my phone. My phone's in the other room. Whoa, that was bad. This chair's too darn big. All right. So that's taken care of. Ha! Somehow they didn't fall off the table. That's awesome. I knocked those two GPUs over, but they didn't fall off. That's nice. I'll just put you right here. Nice and far from the edge. Good lord. Oh, nice! 64 gigs DDR4 on eBay for 80 bucks. That's not bad at all. That is not bad. So, like, the prices I've been seeing for, like, new DDR4 is, like, about 30 bucks for 16 gigs and then about 50 bucks for 32. So, like, 80 gigs for 64, you know, follows that same trend. And that's not bad at all. That is not bad at all. Okay, so... I... participate in the survey? You don't want to know, Steam. You don't want to know all the screwed up hardware that I try and run Steam on. There's so much. There's so much. Okay, so let's ye olde SSD in here. There we go. Games. I need to change that drive letter. Disk management. Yep. I love that that still works. This thing that I learned how to do way back for Windows 2000 still works today. Change drive letter. Change. That needs to be the G drive for games. Okay. Awesome. Now, if we open up Steam... Oh, go away. Steam, settings, and then storage, and add the G drive. Ta-da! There's all our stuff. Cool. Beautiful. Snag a quick controller here. Try not to get this cable stuck in my desk fan. I have got too much stuff. I will tell you, I have got too much stuff. No front USB. That's probably covered up by a sticker. Let's see. Come on. Trying to remember the layout of the USB on the back of this thing. I don't remember it. I think there's a USB port here. Please? Yes, awesome. Okay. Alright, let's... Let's run. I guess the only thing I've really got on here is like Beam or Satisfactory. Let's run Satisfactory. Should be up to date. See how it runs Satisfactory. Should be interesting. Yes, Nathan, you can absolutely add me to your Steam friends. I would be honored. You get to see all the weird stuff that I play when I'm testing things. Steam on a Pentium 4 hyperthreading. That's actually not that weird. I have a Celeron J1900 that I'm planning on, like, because it has like an X1 electrical but X16 capable PCI Express slot on it. I'm planning on doing some cursed things with that, trying to run Steam on that, so that should be fun. Bay Trail Atom. Alright, well, while this installed, I will check that over here on my main machine. We need to fix your Microsoft account. There's a problem with it. I don't know, Microsoft. It sounds like that's a you problem and not a me problem. That's the other reason I'm planning on wiping and rebuilding my main PC, is I can't actually upgrade it. I'm still running Windows 10 like 20H2, and Windows Update fails on it. I can't install 22H2 or anything newer without it just asking if I want to wipe everything, not even keep any of my files or my applications. So I'm just going to do it myself. And, you know, back up all my stuff to, like, I got a 5 terabyte external drive. I'm just going to back up all my stuff to that and just do a clean install at this point, because for crying out loud, Windows. Oh, this is still running at, like, 4K with a bunch of scaling, isn't it? That mouse cursor is ridiculous. The scaling is all wrong. Alright, so let's load up. I've got my benchmark save from tomorrow's video. It goes live at 2 a.m. I don't know why, just that my videos seem to perform better when I release them early in the morning. Have a good night. I hope you get some rest. Hopefully this week has been pretty good, and thanks for joining the stream. Good to see ya. Ryzen 9 asks, would an SSD help with 32-bit lack of RAM? No, because a 32-bit app can only see a 4 gigabyte window of RAM. So when you run a 32-bit app on a 64-bit machine, let's say you have like 32 gigs of RAM, it's going to load that app into a virtual 4 gigabyte container, basically. And it'll put like a copy of the stack and the heap down at the bottom of its allocation, and then like it looks like to the program, for all intents and purposes, it looks like it's running on a machine with 4 gigs of RAM. Because the application itself can't address over 32 bits of memory. And the way you get there is like, 32 bits times, I think, like 4K for a page or something like that. I don't remember. Maybe it's even bytes. I don't remember. But okay, so we've got Satisfactory. This is actually not running terrible. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't install Afterburner. We don't know how many FPS we're getting. Ooh, that. Oh, that texture load is bad. Oh gosh, that's so bad. Jeez. That's that 4 PCI Express lanes for you. Otherwise, it seems mostly fine. Not sure what the frame rate is, but it's around 60. Let me grab Afterburner real quick and we can see, like... This is the downside of running a fresh Windows install, is I don't have any of my utilities installed either. I'll snag Afterburner. Thank you so much, Dave. If you're heading out, I hope you have a good one. I will see you on your stream tomorrow. Probably not super early. I'm probably going to sleep late because that's what I do. But yeah, I'm going to work on Garth's G3 Beige recasing project on your stream tomorrow, so... Yeah, so the fun part is, I think it's fixed in Windows 8, 8.1, and 10, and 11. I mean, 11, like, barely runs 32-bit apps now anyway, but, like, in Vista, Vista was the first, the first time you had a Windows OS that was popularly installed and could do 64-bit hardware and run 32-bit apps on top of them. And Vista actually, because it wasn't well defined, like where the 4 GB stops. Like what do you copy into that 4 GB region? Like, do you copy in all the pointers for like hardware, all the kernel entry points? Do you put in all the driver stuff? Like, does it just get like a copy of the OS, memory map, or like what do you copy into that 4 GB space? So what Vista ended up doing was actually running applications in 2 GB parcels. So you'd have your 32-bit apps would only be able to use 2 gigs of RAM on a 64-bit machine. And you could pass, I think, a startup parameter to Vista, like an NTOS kernel, like startup parameter, to make it use like 3 or 4 gigabytes for 32-bit apps. It was super experimental, because I think what it did is it took 2 gigs for like stack and 2 gigs for heap. So like half of it wasn't really accessible to the application, but you could reallocate that to like get more like memory space for the program itself. It was super janky, and honestly, the 64-bit extensions have been way better because you get a flat memory space. You don't have any of the weird like memory partitioning that the 32-bit x86 memory management gets. And by the way, that was created by AMD, so thank AMD for that. Intel wanted us all to use 32-bit stuff on the desktop, and then their 64-bit solution was, IA64, also known as the Itanium. That was their 64-bit solution. You don't need more than 4 gigs on the desktop. 4 gigs is enough for anybody. I do have to say, like, when AMD launched the Athlon 64 and the Opterons it was based on, I never saw Intel move faster at, like, adopting a competitor's technology. They did drag their feet for a little while, because they're like, you don't need this. Who needs this? You don't need to have this on the desktop. And then it started, like, because Windows didn't support it at first, but then it started making inroads in Linux, right? Because the Linux kernel supported it almost immediately. And suddenly people were like, oh, this is so nice. You can put so much RAM in a machine now. Because again, like, Athlon 64 had its own memory controller, right? Because that was AMD's first architecture with integrated memory controller. So the memory controller could see more than 4 gigs of RAM. Whereas, like, if you remember on Intel's chipsets, up until, like, the 3 series, like the P35 and the Q35, you couldn't put more than like 4 gigs of RAM in an Intel chipset, because even if the processor was 64-bit, the chipset was 32-bit, and it couldn't use more than 4 gigs. But because AMD sidestepped that by having an integrated memory controller, you could use more than 4 gigs of RAM right away on Athlon 64 on Linux, and it caught on real fast. Real fast. Intel was caught with their pants down big time with that one. I've never ever seen them do an about face so quickly. Like, that was Athlon 64 like single-handedly killed the Itanium. Just Ides of March style. Just incredible. A2 Itanium. Alright. Afterburner and Reba Tuner statistics server. Very important for reading FPS data. Kind of important. Pixelpipe says, never heard of this game. Wait till you see this. Once I actually like start moving around, you can see what it is. It is it's basically Factorio, but from a first-person perspective. It's quite good. It's one of my faves. They're right in the middle of, so the team right now, Update 7 is what you get if you go buy Satisfactory, and it's early access. They're working towards 1.0. They're very close. They're doing Update 8 in experimental right now. So you've got two branches. You've got Update 7, which is mainline early access, and then you've got Update 8 experimental. And they're currently working towards Unreal Engine 5. So Update 8 in experimental is UE5. Oh, the gnats have returned. That's so great. So Update 8 is UE5. Update 7 is UE4. So like you can directly compare performance between, you know, an early access UE4 and UE5 game, which is pretty great. Although they do warn that like Update 8 is not optimized yet. There's been so many growing pains in their dev logs for moving from UE4 to UE5. It sounds real familiar if you were one of those people who followed the development of you know, Duke Nukem Forever back in the day when they switched over to Unreal Engine. And they're like, no, we're going to go to Unreal Engine 2, 2.5, Unreal Engine 3. It's going to come out any time now. Apparently UE5 is, at least converting from UE4 to UE5 is a real pain. And Charlotte Thorne says, if I ever run out of projects, building a pointless Itanic desktop machine is on the list. And you know, honestly, same. I kind of want to try it just to see how bad it is. It's just like, the problem is like I have friends who have some Itanics, and they're like, it's just bad. It's just bad. Like, and it's not even an interesting bad because, you know, like it does x86 emulation, but the x86 emulation is poor. And you're just running Linux on it. You're just running a Linux distribution on a slow processor. Oh, this display scaling is so messed up. Okay. 1080p, please. Unbelievable. Okay, so, nope, I closed Afterburner. See if we can actually see it this time. Yes, it's visible. Hooray. Awesome. Oh no. Oh no, it's updating. Oh, this is a big update. I know what update that is. That is like a 7 gigabyte update. Skip it, Steam. Just let me run the version I ran 5 minutes ago, please. Just skip it. Okay, and Steam is screwed up with the display scaling. Love it. Windows is such a great OS. Yeah, yeah, no, they are. Nathan Pixelpipe says, we were just looking at some Itanium servers on Discord, and they are still expensive, and they are. They super are. Like you can find a couple of the older processors, just like the processor cards, on eBay for fairly cheap. But it's like you have like 10% of a machine at that point. You have so much more you're gonna need to grab. Oh, this is pulling it over my local network. That's not bad. The thing is, this is a DRAM-less SSD, so this is gonna run out of steam in about 5 seconds. Pause. Let's play something else. What else? I don't have a lot on this drive. That's the bad part. I have Baldur's Gate, but it's on a spinning disc in the other room because I was using that for my last stream. Yeah, I've got Beam and VR chat. I guess we're gonna play some Beam. Not exactly taxing for the RX 6400, I don't think. Guess we'll find out. I should have preloaded some games on this, I'm sorry. Some more stuff on here than just Satisfactory and Beam. Maybe I can get this thing to like do the install while I'm playing. So I can pop out a Beam and yeah, there we go. And just hop into Satisfactory. I think that's going to be better. Yep. Beam and G. I just picked it up recently. I got the multiplayer mod. I've been watching a lot of Fail Race on YouTube, and it just looked like a lot of fun. So I've got it. A couple of my friends have it, and it's been very good. The multiplayer Beam has just been quite excellent. So we'll just hop over to the automation test track. So this should be 1080p, windowed. Let's see what this thing does with it. I have no idea what it's set to for default options. We'll see what the quality levels are. Oh yeah, no, it's going to be loading off the disk that Steam is transferring stuff onto. Oh yeah, no, it's doing the thing. DRAM-less SSD. It's great until you have to put like 6 gigabytes onto it all at once. Kind of falls on its face. There we go. Let everything load in. Yeah, that SSD's having a bad time right now. Oh no, the CPU's having a bad time. Well, that's fun. Ah. Okay. Why do I have no overlay? That's right, because the overlay is turned off by default. It's such a great idea. Why is the overlay always turned off by default? Let's see, GPU usage, put it in the on-screen. Memory usage on screen. Let's just do frame rate. We'll do a frame time graph. These frame times are going to be terrible. Absolutely terrible. Alright, so apply that. Turn it on with Shift F12, please. There we go. Okay. All right. So we are doing 70 FPS. That's not so bad. So if I whip around, that is not 70 FPS, that is 30. Yikes. Oh, there's something with that building, because now the frame rate's fine. There is something with that building, or the start line, maybe? It just really doesn't like it. What is that? No, it's fine from this direction. Huh. Well, that's weird. Oh no. That's a wall. Whoops. And to anyone who doesn't know what BeamNG's deal is, it is a soft body physics simulation wrapped into a car game. So you get really realistic crashes. Like that. Look at that, isn't that nice? I affectionately call this game Car Squish. Because that's what you do. You car squish. So this appears to be, I should throw the GPU or the CPU usage in there as well. But we're working 100% of that GPU. Bam! But my guess is we are also working 100% of that CPU. No, not quite. Not quite. About 2/3 of it. That's a lot. That's a lot. This poor processor. Let's get in here. Go over this way. Oh no. Yeah, about 2/3 of the processor. But that GPU percentage is 98%, 97%. Alright. We are allocating the full 4 gigabytes of VRAM, so yeah, surprisingly, Beam can max this card out. It's kind of pathetic. It's kind of pathetic. Not gonna lie. Alright, so let's try something worse. I'm going to cut the testing short today because I don't want to be on here for another 3 hours, but let's do... I'm really curious about this little guy. This is the Quadro P1000. It's pretty much the closest, like, logical competitor to, like, the WX4100. also has 4 gigs of VRAM. It's also, you know, doesn't require a power connector. It's small form factor. They both have 4 DisplayPort outputs, so should be interesting. It's not going to be a great performer, not by any means. Oh yeah, I opened that up to get some NVIDIA drivers. Let's do that. Yeah, the nice part about it is that when this thing's fan hits 100%, you still don't really hear it because it just doesn't really do a whole lot. It's just not doing a lot. There's not a lot going on in there. That CPU is mostly head empty. Let's see. If I should probably do Quadro. It's like just Quadro series. Okay, so yeah, there we go. P1000, Windows 10, Production Studio, new feature branch. Ooh, new features. Okay, 531.41. That's not terrible. I think that is up to date, isn't it? Who's updated their NVIDIA drivers recently? Is that 531.41? Is that the current version? I don't remember. I'm extremely guilty of not updating my drivers very often. Just looking through my... I have 536.99 in my downloads folder on my main PC, so it looks like this is just a little bit behind mainline. So my primary PC is the 5800 X3D with a 3080 12 gig, which has been okay. It's been alright. The thing I found the most shocking, like, first we get GPUs that are just, like, ridiculously expensive for the amount of performance they deliver. And then, like, simultaneously, we get these games that come out that require the top-end GPUs to, like, run well. And, like, PC gaming sure feels unsustainable these days. Like, I have a 3080 and I feel like it's not fast enough for a lot of games that I play, which is ridiculous because it's a super fast card. But yeah, modern games doing their best to make a 3080 feel slow. Or at least, in my case, my biggest gripe with it is that it seems very hot running. I think it's on Samsung 8nm. Not impressed. Not impressed with the process. Samsung 8nm. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like it runs real hot. Anyway, let's get that P1000 in there and see how much worse it is in Beam. Or is Steam done downloading? Ooh, it's finished downloading Satisfactory. Cool. Let's do a quick rip in Satisfactory to see what we get for a frame rate. So then we'll have 2 points of data. Because this will be a UE5 game. The scaling is still just completely wrong. It's just so wrong. Okay, so we'll load, benchmark save. I have one gnat in the apartment and it loves to buzz around my face. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Okay. Looks like most folks have dropped off. How's the stream doing? How's everybody doing over here? Oh, we still got a few folks watching. Chat's quiet. It's alright, y'all like to watch me struggle with GPUs. I get it. So, Let's get the frame rate on there. Afterburner? Hello, Afterburner. Did you... You died. Okay. Where's my frame counter? Afterburner decided to die. Okay. Come on. You're gonna make me restart the game, aren't you? Yeah, you are. I love testing PCs. It's so great. Try this again. Oh, that maxed out our RAM. I don't know if you saw that, but if I hop over to Task Manager here, Satisfactory maxed out our RAM. Ho ho! 8 gigs, not enough. Not enough. There we go. Now we have frame rate. That's better. This is in a uniquely bad position with the 4 PCI Express lanes, only 4 gigs of VRAM, and then DDR3 and system memory. It's not great. Seems to run pretty okay. 45 FPS. I think this is on Ultra. I think it defaults to Ultra. I know I had a heck of a time. I tested this game in tomorrow's video, and I had a heck of a time pulling the settings down and getting them to stay lower to try and eliminate a GPU bottleneck. Yeah, so this defaults to Ultra. So seems to be a pretty consistent 45-ish. There was 50. Yeah, not bad. 50 FPS. I'd say that's definitely playable. Like, you could certainly play this and enjoy it. That should be at 1080p. What do we got for our resolution? Oh, that's at 720p. Supposedly. This says it's at 720p. That's not so great. That is not so great. It says it's at 720p, but I just told it to go to 1080p and nothing changed. Oh, because it's windowed. Okay, yeah, no, it's windowed full screen, so yeah, it's running at desktop resolution, which is 1080p. That's better, okay. God. 45 FPS at 720p, like, that's bad. No, it's 1080p maximized, windowed maximized. That's not too bad. Keeping pretty nicely under the VRAM requirements, which is nice. Looking good. So 45, 50 FPS in Satisfactory, and we're getting like 35 to 70 FPS in Beam, depending. Alright, so let's try that P1000. See how it is. P1000. See if this is going to have the same weird issue with this adapter as the other one did. I hate mini display ports so much. Okay. Pop this out of here. Oh, that's warm. Ooh, that's warm. Oh, jeez, that's warm. Holy cow. Haha. Ow. There's no good spots on this card to grab it. Everything is power handling, or it's the heatsink. It's all hot. Ouch. Ouch, 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 ouch. Get in your home. It's too warm. Card is too warm. Okay, so no. It's not in the slot at all, but it triggered the rear latch. There we go. This is bent outwards a little bit, so it's not going into the case correctly. Come on, get your butt in there. Oh, come on. There we go. That's better. Okay, this goes in. This way. Just sort of slides into the plug. There's no real, like, positive latching feeling or anything. There we go. Okay. What do we got? Do we got signal? Yes, we do. That's a good sign. Indeed. Charlotte says this machine seems uniquely engineered to be as bandwidth constrained as possible, and yes, I would agree. It's pretty bad. But, you know, consider the price tag. It's $50. This is doing the same thing again, isn't it? Yes, it has defaulted to 3840 at 300% scale, and now it won't let me change the resolution. Thank you. Thank you, Windows. You're so garbage. Okay, let's run this driver, get this installed. Ryzen9 asks, can you play BeamNG with the P1000? I'm going to guess yes. I'm going to guess it's going to run. I'm going to guess it's not going to run great, but I'm going to guess it's going to run. Like, here's the thing about the P1000, right? It's the important part on a Quadro, at least one of the old model Quadros, is this part here, right there, where it says the letter, right? Because, like, Iceberg Tech just recently tested like a K4000, which is a much more powerful card, but the K stands for Kepler. It's from the Kepler generation, so it's like 600 series, some of the 700 series. You know, it's a very old architecture. These are Quadro Ps, so these are Pascal. So we've got like, I think this one is basically this 600. I think is basically a GT 1030. I think the P1000 slots in close to like a GTX 1050. And then I've got a P2000 sitting on the table over here that sort of falls in between like a 1050 Ti and a 1060. This one's weird. I can't wait to test this one. I want to see what it does. This has like 5 gigabytes of VRAM. It doesn't make any sense. There isn't a consumer card where this one actually like falls into the same place. Which is actually very similar to the Radeon Pro WX 5100, because this one also, like, it's an 8 gigabyte card, it's got like 1792 shaders, it's Polaris, but it doesn't fit anywhere in the consumer stack. Like, there's no consumer Polaris card that has an equivalent to this. It's almost like an RX 560, almost, but not quite. It's also, there's no power connector, so it's limited to slot power, like 72 watts. It's a very interesting card. It's a very strange and interesting card. It performs about as well as you'd expect. 75 watt Polaris, not great. But I'm very curious to see what that P2000 does, because that should be very interesting. Because Pascal is generally, watt for watt, it's a little more powerful than Polaris, I think. They're actually they're not bad when they're power constrained. Like, mostly, again, like the 1080 Ti was really good because it had, you know, about 300 watts to play with. But we never got a 300 watt Polaris, right? Like the 480, the RX 480, the RX 580, even the RX 590, you know, topped out at like under 200 watts. So should be interesting. Let's do a custom install. I don't want the GeForce experience or whatever you're going to try and put in here. RTX Desktop Manager. Yeah, you can go away. Go. It's a Quadro P1000. I don't need RTX anything on it. I bet it can technically do ray tracing because it's Pascal, but I imagine it's going to be way painful. I tried the ray tracing, the like driver level pseudo ray tracing that NVIDIA enables in like Pascal and Turing, the non-RTX cards, on my 1660 Super, and it was bad. it was real bad. Like it's not great on the 1080 Ti. I can't imagine it's very good on the P1000. Cannot imagine it's good at all. What do I think about the GTX 1660 Ti? Honestly, it's a pretty good buy right now. You can pick one up for around $100. I tested the 1660 Super in my $100 GPU video, released like last month or so. So $100 Radeon will get you like a 5600 XT, which is a pretty powerful card. Much faster than a 1660 Super or even a 1660 Ti. However, if you're looking to stream, either to Twitch, apparently, which can't ingest H.265, I'm not totally sure. I don't stream to Twitch, so I don't know. But like I'm streaming to YouTube, and YouTube will ingest H.265, so like streaming on RDNA to YouTube is fine. But if you stream to Twitch, or you stream to Discord, like you have to stream to Discord to your friends, neither of those work great on Radeons, even RDNA Radeons. Discord, in Discord's case, they don't implement AMD's video coding engine, so like that just doesn't do hardware accelerated encoding, which is a real shame. And in Twitch's case, for whatever reason, apparently they don't ingest anything other than H.264. Which is also very strange, because like your Twitch, you probably want to ingest a low bandwidth protocol, like H.265. I know they do AV1, which makes it weird that they, I don't know. Your mileage may vary. I don't stream to Twitch, so I don't know exactly what they support, but RDNA has really good H.265 encoding support. But the application has to be written to take advantage of it. So like OBS, I'm using OBS to stream here, and OBS will stream H.265 out of a Radeon all day long. It works just fine. Of course, I'm using NVENC here on my main PC, because I've got my 3080, which also works great. The thing is, Discord doesn't. Discord does not implement the hardware video encoding that's on RDNA, or of course Polaris, but Polaris and Vega use a different video coding engine, and they're very bad. I don't like them at all. But from RDNA 1 onwards, it's actually really good. Like AMD actually like put some effort into it, and it's like a decent video encoder. It's just not implemented everywhere. So As far as, like, I realize that the reality of the situation is a lot of people buy NVIDIA because stuff is made for NVIDIA. Like, if you do Blender acceleration, there's, like, Unity plugins if you're building worlds in Unity for VR chat. There's, like, there's a light bake, a really, really popular baked global illumination plugin for Unity where you can just, like, bake some really nice bounce lighting into your world. And that only runs on CUDA cores. It'll only run on NVIDIA. There's no OpenCL version of that. So, like, I get it. You buy an NVIDIA card because everything is made for NVIDIA already. And if you're looking for something to get into the NVIDIA ecosystem, 1660 Super and 1660 Ti, pretty good options right now. They're $100. They perform pretty well. They're down on power compared to the 5600 XT, but you get all the stuff. You get all the stuff that an NVIDIA card gives you. You get the CUDA cores, you don't get DLSS obviously, but FSR is fine. You get NVENC. NVENC is the big one. You get NVENC. You get a full Turing level NVENC implementation, which is good. You've got good H.264 support, good H.265 support. It'll encode 4K 60 in real time at H.265. It's a good card. I got nothing wrong. I got nothing against it. Honestly, I wish there was a GTX 1680 or something, a 1670. I wish they went a little bit faster. You gotta step up to a 2060 to get any more performance out of it. So here's the other thing. The other thing that blew my mind when I was doing the research for that video, for the $100 GPU video, is the number of shaders in like a 1660 Ti is almost exactly half the number of shaders that's in a 3050. RTX 3050 is like literally double the number of shaders, and guess what? Those two cards, 1660 Ti and the 3050, are within 1% of each other in rasterization performance. And they run at the same clock speed. So, like, whatever NVIDIA did with Ampere, with the shader architecture for Ampere, they just dropped performance like a rock. Unbelievable. That's the other thing. That's the other reason I have problems with Ampere. Like, there's like 10,000 shader cores in my 3080 or whatever, and it's like, it doesn't go that fast. It just uses a lot of power and makes a lot of heat. It's so frustrating. Yes, 1536. Yeah, there's about twice that in the 3050, and it doesn't go any faster. It doesn't go any faster. It's so frustrating. Anyway, we have got driver, we have got the correct resolution. Let's get some games on. I'll start with Beam, just for you, Ryzen. Pixelpipe says, because Ampere is Kepler reincarnated. Please no. Please no. We need them to bring back Maxwell and Pascal, not Kepler. Oh, not Kepler. Alright, automation test track. Spawn. So same setting, same resolution. That's going to spawn me in a D-series pickup truck, which should be the same. We'll see how bad this is. I'm going to guess it's going to be real bad. Like, you can poo-poo the 6400, like, it deserves it, but, like, it's a 7nm RDNA process, on slot power. It's extremely efficient for what it is. It's just not very well designed. It's very good at turning, 50 watts or whatever it's allocated into frames per second. It's just doesn't have a lot of bandwidth to do that. Alright, so, did I remember to load up? I didn't. I forgot to load up Afterburner again. This is how, so see, you're getting a really authentic behind the scenes for when I do my testing videos. This is my life. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to turn on Afterburner. Oh yeah, I forgot to turn on Afterburner to, start with Windows, so it doesn't screw me over every time. This is half of my life. Just forgetting to start MSI Afterburner. Oh no! Raz9 says, I almost got an RX 6400. I'm glad you didn't. You dodged a bullet there. It's impressive for what it is, sort of, because you get basically an RX 480, you know, in a tiny form factor, right? Like you get an RX 480 in a form factor that's this big, which is in and of itself, that's impressive. However, there's too many caveats, right? Like there's 2 displays, that's not enough. You know, there's 2 display out ports, which is not enough. There's no video encoding block on this GPU, which is stupid. I can't believe they removed it. Like, I get that it's a laptop GPU on a PCB, but you could at least put the video coding engine back. Like, I know you guys, like, you sintered it off. Just put it back. Just take the chips you're gonna, you know, fuse off for the laptops, and just don't fuse them. Put them on the PCB that way, so you still have the... Oh, this is sad. We are getting 41 FPS, where we were getting 57? Oh, RX 6400, that is a bad showing for you. Yeah, and flipping them back around where we got 35 FPS, we get 29, there's 36. It's not that much slower, that's the bad part. Like, it's a good showing for the P1000, but like that's an abysmal showing for the RX 6400. Oh, that's really sad. Okay, so there's 30 FPS. So that is actually like half the frame rate. So that's fair. That's more like what I was expecting, but like, geez, at the start line to have 40 FPS. You only 17 FPS down from the 6400. That is kind of incredible. So let's see how it does with Satisfactory, because like, Satisfactory actually really loves Pascal. At least it loved Pascal when it was Unreal Engine 4. I'm gonna guess it's gonna not love Pascal quite so much now that it's UE5. Let's find out. That was the other thing that I found out with when testing like the WX5100, because this is such a weird configuration to have so many shaders on a card that's limited to 72 watts. It basically didn't go any faster than the WX4100 for most of my testing until I got to, and this was the weirdest part, until I got to The Last of Us, which, as you know, is incredibly difficult for GPUs to run. It has a lot of shader code in there. And the WX5100 finally showed up and ran like a solid 30% faster than the 4100, which was really surprising to me. So, I don't know, like, the concept of having a future-proof GPU is kind of a misnomer, but like, if there was one that was the 5100, like you'd have, for years and years, you'd have a GPU that was basically useless versus a WX5100 or WX4100 until you tried to run Last of Us Part 1 on it, and then suddenly it like springs to life and performs well. This is the weirdest thing. Oh yeah, no, that's having a bad time. That is 25 FPS. Down from 45. That's... oh. Oof. Oh, that's the wrong key. Pretty consistent. Nope, so that pointing in that direction we get 22. 20 FPS. Ouch. Yeah, no, the P1000's having a bad time in UE5. Which, yeah, actually, now that I think about it, not that surprising. Not that surprising. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Well, there you go. That's... As I was saying, like, we keep getting these weird... We keep getting these weird GPU architectures, right, where, like, they keep cutting down the memory bandwidth, they keep cutting down the ROPS, and they keep, you know, we get enough shaders, we get a lot of shaders, but not enough TMUs and ROPS, not enough texture management units, sorry, texture mapping units, not enough render outputs. And it's weird, because, like, the WX5100 has that kind of architecture. It's got a lot of shaders, it's got an okay number of texture mapping units, and, like, it's never going to use, like, there's not enough power on the card to use all the ROPS that it has. But, like, in modern stuff, suddenly the WX5100 comes alive, and, like, is that... I don't know, are we not giving the GPU companies the benefit of the doubt when they come up with these weird GPU architectures, like the 6400 and 6500? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for it. My gut says no. My gut says this is not the DX9, DX10 unified shader inflection point that we saw back in the early 2000s, where suddenly we went from having, you know, like 48 pixel pipelines that did one pixel operation, one vertex operation, or whatever. And it was all fixed. It was all fixed function. And then we went into unified shaders, and now you had 256 shaders and 8 texture mapping units, or 16 texture mapping units, or whatever. Or, you know, 1024 shader units, and you had 32 texture mapping units, and they could all, like, just dynamically reassign what they had to do. I don't think it's that. I don't know. But yeah, the 6400 definitely runs this better than Pascal. That's for sure. Which honestly isn't that surprising. So the 6400 has 768 shaders. The Quadro P1000, I'd be surprised if it was more than 384. This is twice the feature size. I think this is on 14 nanometer. It might be on 16 nanometer. Let's see, list of NVIDIA GPUs. Don't always get this right, but it's usually a good place to look for quick comparisons. So Quadro P1000 is, 640. Is 640 Pascal shaders. Supposedly running at a boost clock of 1481 megahertz. Do I have the boost clock? I don't have the boost clock exposed at the moment. Let's see if I can pop out and get GPU-Z running. It's so, yeah, right? It's so much worse. It's so much worse. Exactly. Yeah, that's fair. Truly budget graphics cards have rarely been good. I mean, everybody knows this card. I don't have to tell you what it is, you know what it is. It's the card. It's the worst card. It's the worst card that has existed forever. It never seems to go away. I mean, it finally did go away, but it never seems to go away. It took probably 10 years? Almost 10 years to go away. Budget graphics card was never good. We always knew it was never good. So what do we got for a boost clock? We are running below the boost clock. That makes sense. We're probably power limited. 1266 megahertz. But yeah. What is this? What is this running on for a process? Just 14 or 16. P1000, supposedly, according to Wikipedia, is 14 nanometer, whereas the bigger ones, are 16 nanometer, which is weird because I thought they were all GP107. Oh no, of course. All the GP107 based ones, which is Quadro P 400, 600, 620, 1000, all the GP107 ones are based on 14 nanometer. And then the larger ones are, you know, GP106, GP104, GP102, etc. That makes more sense. That makes much more sense. But yeah, it's way worse. It's way worse. So like in Beam, it's not that bad. It takes a hit, but it's still playable. In Satisfactory, we take a wallop. We take a wallop in Satisfactory. So we go from like 45 to 50 FPS down to like 20 to 20. Well, yeah, we have the frame rate again. So I guess that makes sense. I guess that makes sense. We have the frame rate. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for the stream. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sticking around. This took way longer than I thought it would. I apologize for that. I should have been better prepared before I started. But we got there. We got there. We're all good. So, let me play us out. Oh, come on. There we go. That's better. Alright, so pretty much what I expected. Yeah, right? The P1000's not great. 6400 works well. I'm really annoyed. I'm really annoyed that the 4100 just like refused to play ball. My guess is it's this bracket. And I am planning on doing like a full video going over like what your options are for, you know, if you have a small form factor office PC and like which ones of these make sense. For example, the 6400 obviously is quite fast, but you're running into limitations of your CPU, as we saw, like getting like 70% usage on the Skylake. So like, it's, you know, 6 in one, half dozen in another. So anyway, I want to thank all of you for coming to the stream, and thanks for being awesome. I've really enjoyed chatting with everybody. Thanks so much. It's been fun. And I will see you all next week. Well, honestly, you'll see me tomorrow with the next video. It releases tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Is it Mountain Standard or Mountain Daylight still? I think it's still Mountain Daylight Time. Anyway, it releases early in the morning on Sunday. Feel free to watch it whenever. No pressure. And if you liked this stream, we've got more of these planned. And if you have any suggestions, feel free to comment down below with what you'd like to see me stream. And yeah, that's it. I will catch you all in the next video and the next stream. So have a great night, and I hope the rest of your weekend goes well. Have a great night. You gotta click with the right mouse. Have a good one, everybody.